former IMF World Bank advisor. Torek, welcome to the program. Now, when we talk about these frozen central bank funds, how important is this money in order to help Afghanistan's economy and a humanitarian crisis the country is experiencing?
Well, Afghanistan is a poor country. It was dependent on foreign aid for the past 20 years. And up to August 15, it was receiving about $4.5 billion from donors for its regular budget. So this has stopped. And at the same time, the reserves are frozen. The freeze of the reserves is a political issue in the United States. And now there is a legal wrangling also on the part of the 9/11 families that want part of this money. So this will take time. The letter that the Democrats have written to President Biden will not go very far because the atmospherics of the Congress, the Republicans versus the Democrats, with what's going on with the Build Back Better package and all that. President Biden is not going to devote attention to this issue now. But what needs to happen in Kabul is important as well. In Kabul, the Taliban need to depoliticize the central bank. The central bank needs to be run by professional Afghans who are not Taliban, who are not on sanctions lists. And that way, the central bank can be audited that any money coming to Afghanistan is spent for salaries of civil servants and does not go to the security sector.
Torek, some of the pictures that we're showing at the moment are actually from protests in Kabul asking for the unfreezing of this funds by the US. And you talk there about the central bank in Afghanistan needing to be almost legitimized, having somebody being able to run it. Do you think if these funds were unfrozen, even just some of it, it may also legitimize the Taliban as the country's official new government and rulers, and that's something that the US doesn't want?
I think the two issues can be dealt separately. The funds, part of it in tranches of, let's say, $150 million can be released so that Afghanistan can make certain payments, for instance, electricity payments that it has bought from Uzbekistan, and it owes $60 million to Uzbekistan for importing power, electricity, pharmaceuticals, fuel, food, everything is imported in Afghanistan. And releasing some of the funds through a central bank, which is non-political, auditable in a way to prove that the monies are not used by the security sector of the Taliban, but only for humanitarian purposes, is an effective way to come out of this crisis. In the end, these reserves are the backup for the currency of Afghanistan. They are not really meant to be used as a budget or to feed Afghanistan. These are reserves, currency reserves.
Well, if Afghanistan doesn't actually get a huge cash injection, whether it be these funds or from aid agencies, what happens? I mean, we know Afghans are very resilient. They've lived through war. They've been through so much, especially in the last few months. But how long can people really survive and cope if they don't get the money and aid, especially to make it through winter?
Winter, yes. On parts of Afghanistan, the temperature can drop up to minus 20 degrees. And there, children and women who don't have enough to eat and enough to heat up their tents or wherever they live, we might lose them and we might not learn about these tragedies because the press is not anymore so active inside Afghanistan in all the corners of Afghanistan. So tragedies will happen. We won't know about everything. Right now, the international community is trying to expedite food and winterization materials to Afghanistan, but it will not be enough for the extent of the need throughout a country of 40 million people. The humanitarian organizations and the UN system is not designed to support 40 million people at one time. It's very difficult. Taliban have to make some real changes in Kabul politically to gain a bit of more legitimacy so we can lobby effectively on behalf of the Afghan poor.
Yeah, really difficult situation for those Afghans having to live through that. Torek Farhadi, live to us from Geneva. Thank you so much.